They're like, this has touched me. These are things I've been thinking about in my life. And so what happened on this July 15, 2014, I was single, I think. Yes, and I was single in July of 2014, yes. And I was just thinking from a point of like, when you're now alone, because people come up with ideas of the person they want, you meet someone and then you want them to fit certain things that you are sometimes even coming up with them there and then. Sometimes it could be something that happened a month back, it's created a new value in you and you're now trying to ascribe that value to your partner that you've just met and so on. So I thought, what better time to figure out what you would like than when you're single and when you're alone. So I thought about writing this poem. So it ended up being quite long. It is not a short poem like the previous one, but hope you guys will enjoy. Okay. So I don't know how to spell love. See, I don't want a love like common had never seen, nor one like Sheehan's thinking of you, thinking of me, thinking of you kind of love. The sun came and set on Maya, and I am still a long way from home, because I refuse to walk anymore till the mist is gone. I don't want to learn how to love. I want love that learns who I am. I need a love that needs me for longer than I have needed it. I don't write these with a bowed head of a proud African man. I don't even try to rhyme, because this love will force a rhythm. No, I don't want a love that makes me cuckoo, because I want my mind to be fully alive as she purrs and I cuckoo. I don't have to count the stanzas, because we are not prosing, just proposing. This is not a poem, it's just a mind-blowing theme. I am not the Lion King, my dad's not Mufasa. I just decided to slow down as I was tired of moving faster. And there will be no love to feel tonight. When I spread my arms, this time don't be confused. My heart will go on, but this is not Titanic. See, I want a love that one language cannot explain, because I don't feel in one culture, nor express myself in one way. I need that kind of love drug that makes you almost see sounds. You can harness the power of music and recreate a moment to each aspect. That kind of love that makes the past 10 minutes a nostalgic event, makes you want to go back, and this is no throwback. You want to live in the present love, but you still want to see what it looks like in the future. Do the emotions overlap and become a melee of heartbeat skips, or do they become parallel comrades that see each other but never ever meet? This typing is just us talking. I am not having a monologue. I am asking you this because you said you have fallen in love. You hold my hand and want to stay in the moment, but you see, I am a different kind of person, weird even. I believe in being unique and making you part of this life of words. I want you to be that one song that I never get tired of and never want to turn down. You are the painting that looks its best because of being incomplete. The knots I feel in my stomach are the ones I want to tie. We will then add color to the life we create, but we won't die. I will add you to my favorite humor, honor, and endeavors. I need you to be smart enough to see what I did there. But see, the most important fact is that I need to be smart enough to get you. I need to dress smart enough to impress you. See, making you happy is not a goal. It is a constant life choice, of which instead of kicking away, I will hold on to. I am not writing this from my thoughts. Each morpheme here is a heartbeat, and I am yet to run out of breath. We are writing in what we have painted. We are strumming a future lullaby on the ukulele. These were not meant to rhyme, but I will be with you, milele. My dreams are not sick. No, they are valid. In fact, they are not dreams, just future realities. I traversed this life as a child of the world. I am a writer, a dancer, a singer. That's why my brow is never unfurled. I am a thinker, a doer, and in the dance of love, I will have you twirled. You can be my last word, my last note, my last dance step. Because each day we write a different plot, a new song. You are my new choreographer. Every moment we are together is Kodak, for the sun has become our photographer. The moon is a shrink who listens in on our conversations. You have become my new priest for this love confession. Living while loving you are interchangeable, but still my new profession. When we soar above, we smile with the stars and admire our progression. When I put down the last word on this note, it will not be the end. Because as you teach me how to spell love, we will create a trend. My mind is amazed that I'm lost in, but have you as my compass. My mind may amaze, but I choose to reside in the heart of these lass. I get lost in your eyes and find you in the brown dunes of that teary desert. Words are an illusion, promises are a farce, so I can only prove my love if I never desert. My words are never ending. Our thoughts are ever blending. You, I'm ever defending. And as we hold hearts and start ascending, the earthly definition of love, we are transcending. Thank you. Sioni machozi. Hakuna. Thank you. Yeah. And then the third piece, as I mentioned, I like writing about different themes, is about, I call it politricks. Always called it politricks since I ever started writing about politics, always called it politricks. So this is one of the more recent pieces. I wrote this on August 9th, 2022. So I think it was on the day of the election or the day before the elections last year. The piece is called August All Sinners. So like August All Sinner. Yes, for anyone who didn't catch that. So August All Sinners. Puffed paths pass through a rich man's gut. Starved stars strut in poetic poverty and sass. Ningori kwa headman anayefanya kazi kupata headrest. But the chief point remains the existence of a cozy nest. May we borrow in unity, but pay individual taxes, piecing together riddles of liberty from mistext. Figurative language becoming reality to fit in boxes, ticks for the win as they sack through our losses. Perfect pearl pats the back that soon receives the kicks, as past proverbs find the man at the mic through teary psalms. Bas, 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 mwanaume tulia hakuna haja ya kutense. Rebuilt bridges burn, taking down those on the fence. Liars are firm as they feel tilts for they believe the words they say. The victims perpetually disillusioned when they finally have their day. A bite of the national dessert where everyone wants to pick a bone. Few want to work for the home, yet everyone wants the throne. Puff, puff, pass. The responsibility requires a dose of bluntness. That's why we intercede, but never have the time to confess. Wasiwasi ukipata, utaambua uinue macho kwa clouds, building speed tracks in the air in search of a higher ground. The snaking smoke gives vivid dreams from night terrors, cursing the waking hours with the weight of a ton of errors. Entangled in a web of our choices that sometimes make us sensitive, memory evaporating when reminded our voices are truly representative. In the end, we smash the mirror to avoid our reflections, forgetting we are all sinners under the tree of our selections. Thank you. So yes, definitely that is about politics. If you didn't catch the drift, it's all about BBI and all the things you people were doing last year and not listening. Kina waramba sai. Yes, so it is what it is. So I am done with the poetry part. So I'm gonna do my exit piece. I hope I've kept the time. So this last piece I wrote, I think it was in 2007 or 2008. So this was after the post-election violence that happened in Kenya. So I called the piece Alphabetical Slaughter. So because it uses the alphabet to tell the story of what has happened in Kenya, what Kenya is perceived as, and what we expect of Kenya as we look towards the future. So this is a poem or a piece, 15 years old, yes, 15 years old. Wacha nikunywe maji kidogo. Wait, I need to use this hand. A to the B to the C to the D. A is for the anguish, the agony, the apathy. B is for the beasts, the butchery, the battery. C is for the corruption, the culprits, the criminals. D is for the death, the darkness, the doubt. E to the F to the G to the H. E is for the excitement, the ecstasy, the end. F is for the fools, the foul, the fat. G is for the good, the great, the guilty. H is for the heartless, the hungry, the hopeless. I to the J to the K to the L. I is for the innocent, the imbeciles, the idiots. J is for the judges, the joyless, the jobless. K is for Kenya, the knowledge, the killers. L is for love. M to the N to the O to the P. M is for the mission, the mortality, the madness. N is for the nonsense, the nut jobs, the numbness. O is for the orchestrators, the oxygen, the ozone. P is for peace. Q to the R to the S to the T, R to the S to the T to the U. Q is for the questions, the Qs, the quakes. R is for the riots, the rebellion, the revolution. S is for the students, the somber, the sadness. T is for the terror, the terrorists, the terrorism. U is for unity. V to the W to the X to the Y, W to the X to the Y to the Z. V is for the villains, the vanguards, the vultures. W is for the women, the willing, the weeping. X is for the expectations, the exceptions, the experience. Y is for the youth, for yesterday and for you. Z is for the zones, the zealous for Zion. The zealous for Zion. We are coming. Thank you. I am done. Who's next? Who has questions?
Welcome to the Busy Being Born podcast with your hosts Kamande and Kigondu.
There you go. Good to see you guys.
Karibuni
Muko
sana
fiti?
to this studio session.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please. A round of applause for Mukabi. That was fantastic. The Divine Bandit.
The Divine Bandit.
Thank you. And for you who's listening, Maze, today we have a live, and it's super. Is it that weird having?
It feels
people in the
different.
audience?
It feels very different.
Yeah.
I have to like be conscious and not be conscious that there are people listening live and watching us live, but it's what it is.
It ended to sound.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. It's a beautiful way to close a year and open another.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful way to honor the third season and the 50th episode.
Episode.
Tupigieni makofi mazee. Hata mimi nipigieni makofi mazee. Thank you so much mazee. Busy being born out here.
Kabisa.
We jump in,
We
episode
jump in.
50?
Let's go for it.
Let's go.
Ladies
and gentlemen, welcome to the Busy Being Born podcast. Akia nani. When people are watching you, sasa ndiyo maneno era. Wait until we start reading the ads. Tutaribu kizungu, so just be comfortable to how badly we'll read.
Performance anxiety.
Right? So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Busy Being Born podcast live. And we have sponsors. Kama kawaida, we are hoping this new season will get more and more. So if you're here in the audience and yes, it deserves one of those. If you're here in the audience and you feel these guys are doing justice to my brand, holla at your boys and ladies. There are lots of them here. Today's episode is brought to you by Busy Being Born podcast website, which is hello www.busybeingborn.africa. Let us tell you about this, guys. Now, this is where you'll find us. This is besides on the platforms, the podcast platforms, and we are everywhere. By the way, check us out. The biggest and the best part about the platform is that there is more than just episodes there. So we have blogs, we have guest features, we have shops, so you can come buy our merch. I hope you like our merch if you're seeing it. Unamzicheki, yeah? Yeah, so we got everything. At this rate, we'll get Jordans. No? Okay, sawa. Acha tusingie brand ingine. So get everything there. You can catch us on, again, busybeingborn.africa. This is the home of African excellence. And this is where you'll get everything that we've done in terms of archives, in terms of photos, in terms of all the episodes to this point and going forward. And so much more coming, yeah? So busybeingborn.africa. We have another sponsor, right?
Yeah, and just to add on that, we'll have a lot more guest writers. So we're going to get a lot more into the writing, a bit esoteric, but still worth it, including the likes of the Divine Bandit, who I think has a lot of things to share.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
All right. We are also brought to you by Amini Sportswear. Amini Sportswear is an African and beyond sports merchandise brand that takes pride in collaborating with early-stage businesses, immersing itself in their unique challenges to fulfill their kit and merchandise requirements. Amini Sportswear specializes in customizing kits and merchandise to your precise specifications. They are committed to delivering your orders personally within a 6 to 8 week turnaround time. Amini's mission is to harness technical expertise to craft high-quality, African-themed kits that remain durable, vibrant, and resistant to shrinkage or creasing even with repeated washing. Despite being less than a year old, Amini Sports has played a vital role in providing major kit deals for renowned teams such as the USIU, teams for rugby, basketball, Strathmore sports teams, Equity Bank, and currently contributes to the branding of Shujaa, the international Kenya Rugby Sevens team. They also offer top quality training and match balls, rugby, football, etc. And they did this for this year's Sports Pesa 7 circuit that just ended and the ongoing Impala Floodies. I think the finals are today. And Amini Sports is providing the match balls for that. You can find them on X, formerly Twitter, at, this is my favorite thing, at AS Sports Africa. Now, if you read that, it just also happens that this company is run by a very good friend. I think he'll be joining us later. What is Patience? It's run by Patrice Agunda. Patrice is a phenomenal human being and a very good friend. He's a very good friend. We call him Teacher. And I feel like him designing that name, it's not an accident.
It was very intentional.
He has a proclivity for certain things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say anything. That's it.
Very on brand.
Yeah, he's on brand. He's on brand. Patrice is a former Kenya 7s and 15s rugby player who's a very good friend of the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we jump in. We have a guest.
We have a guest.
We have a
guest.
You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Please ask.
Are they
brilliant?
Are they brilliant?
But of course, bro. Of course, they are brilliant.
Are they representing the motherland?
Yes, very much so. In so many ways, Maze.
Amazing.
And we get to jump in and hear their stories.
And last but not least, are they busy being born?
But of course.
Yeah.
Yes, this is one of the best ways to crown.
Tell us more, Tuambie.
Yeah, this is one of the best ways to crown our episode 50. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Half a century.
Our guest today is as prolific an actor as your favorite, if not your favorite. Unajua, he's probably your favorite actor. He's a voice artist, he's a radio presenter, and an events guru. Having jumped professional theater, or having jumped into professional theater quite early, this is actually at the tip of the millennium, our guest went on to act in numerous plays at the Phoenix Players, at the National Theatre, and soon enough he was on TV. Having back-to-back features on really dope TV shows such as kuna ile ulikuwa umesema
my best show, one of my best shows ever.
Which is
Reflections.
As soon as you saw him there, soon enough he was on Makutano Junction. Soon enough tuliona amenyamaza kidogo, then we saw him on Anti-Boss, on Varshita, on County 49. the best episodes on County 49 were written by a really cool dude called Martin Kigondu. Plug.
Oh.
Anyway, please tell that to your friends. Niandikiwa kazi zingine. Anyway, so he went on to also feature on Crime and Justice and other movies and TV shows here and there. So we are honored, ladies and gentlemen, to have a chat with a human being who's had lots of experience in the arts and in life. So we get to sit and chat on the breadth of his career and the depth of his life experience so far. Ladies and gentlemen, help us to welcome the one and the only Maqbul Mohammed. Hey. Welcome, sir. Welcome, man.
Thank you.
Good to have you, Maze. We could do better.
Yeah.
You all right?
That's good, mic testing. We're good?
We're good?
Asante sana for making time this morning.
Awesome. Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, sorry we're running on African time, but it is what it is. We just have to make peace with that. What have you done this morning that you either don't do or do habitually? You can choose either.
I don't walk. So I recently moved to the sides of Sin City, Kilimani. And it is Sin City, isn't it? Yeah. And I hadn't been to this place. I've never been to this place. And, you know, I opened the directions and Google told me, turn left. It didn't say turn left immediately. Right? So I went down the road, up to Mama Oliech's, taking a nice, lovely walk. I went all the way up to the main road. As I got there, I was like, maybe I should find out where this place is. I called Martin, and Martin says, oh, where are you? It's like, somewhere on the road, Kingdom Bank. It's like, okay, take a right. To me, a right is on the other side of the road. So I take a right. I end up on the other side of the road at some Tulip Hotel. I'm like, maybe I should find out. I call Martin again. It's like, oh, so you see Mama Oliech? I'm like, wait. So I come back. So yeah, just come back. So I come back all the way. I meet him, and then only to discover the entrance to this place is right next to my house. So I took a walk in the morning.
You normally don't.
Yeah, and I was trying to, when I came in, I was like, I'm sweating so much, I'm not quite sure I want to be on camera anymore. But yeah, I took a walk in the morning. That's
Nice.
I never do that.
Can that become a habit?
Not really. No.
Let's not get there.
Yeah, because it's a very interesting thing. It depends. It really depends on where you live, and that's why I think there's a joke that goes on about Eastlands and being on this other side of town where you can find spots to walk, and it's a rich kind of mentality because there are spaces you can do that. As I was walking down, bodas are hooting at me. There are cars which are trying to take a wrong turn. It's so busy. I can't walk. You can't walk down here.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Not your thing. Oh, good.
Yeah. Treadmill is good.
Yeah. Let's talk about taking wrong turns.
Yes.
If not paths that then lead you to really interesting places. The question would be, what is the last thing that you changed your mind about?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is interesting. Music.
Okay.
Music. I'm a fan of music. Like, I find as an artist, you find ways to express yourself. I express myself through music. It's sad I can't hold a note, but I love music, right? But there are different genres of music that, we are privy on this part of the world. I changed my mind about a genre that has been there for the longest time, house music. House music has been so big around the world, but it's always labeled as, it's a white thing.
It's European.
Right? It's a very European, Westlands kind of thing. Now, all of a sudden, there are young guys who are turning this genre into something that we can hold our own, and they're doing it even better than the pop artists that we have, right? There are people like, and starting from South Africa, Black Coffee, who are changing the narrative of this music, and it's starting to sound more and more like our own. In Kenya, recently had a young girl called Tina Ado, and she's singing in Kikuyu, like proper folk song, but now mixed with house music. I now I've fallen in love with it. I fell in love with it so much, I started an event.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
Yeah.
Say more about the event.
Yeah, let me just plug it in.
Plug it
Where's
in.
the camera? Which
Go for
camera?
it.
Yeah, so we do this. It's called Afro Tribe at Gecko Cafe every last Sunday of the month. And this is our 5th month. It's happening tomorrow, so come on.
We're coming.
Come on.
Yeah, that's our plan.
Thank you, our sponsor, Savannah. Thank you. Plug again.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Plug again. But yeah, I changed my mind about that because I always thought that house music was a very, But now it's home. Now we're singing in our own languages, and it's just changing the game. It's another way of expressing ourselves.
That's interesting because you changed your mind about something,
Yeah.
and then what's the past tense of dive? Dove.
Dove.
Dive to dove.
Dove.
Dove right in,
Yeah.
and then
Dove
you
right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dive. Yeah.
Diva. Whatever. And then you dove right into
Yeah.
it to the extent of starting an event around
Yeah.
this thing that you changed your mind about.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that, where you discover something and then maybe I don't know what the process is, you
Yeah.
end up diving right into it?
Yeah, I've been accused of doing that a lot, and I think you've seen throughout my career. I fall in love with something and I want to express myself through it, and I think it's a way of artists. When you find something that you want to to touch on, and it's always been like that. When it came to, even in the beginning when I was starting out at Phoenix, it was by chance. It wasn't by design. I had acted in school. I was supposed to go to university in the UK, but there were these ads on the paper, and back in the day we used to have ads on the paper.
Not pop-ups.
Call outs for auditions. It's not like now on social media. So Nation would have these little ads, and Phoenix every month would have an audition or so. So I went, I got in, and I was like, I kind of like this. And 8 years later, I was, part of the furniture. So that's how I've always progressed.
One of the furniture?
Yeah, because I really went in. I really fell in love with the theater and being in front of people and just, finding a space where I can express myself. And I think that's something that we don't encourage a lot. I digress. We don't encourage in our schools. And it depends as well where there's this Eastlands, Westlands thing that always happens. There's a divide. So when you come on this area, Westlands, there are a lot of encouragement. When it comes to the arts, on this other end, there's not so much. So when I found something that I fell in love with, I went through it. And that's how it's always been with my career.
And how far back can you recall it? You getting interested in performing?
Wow. That's far.
Yeah, you could tell us about
19. When I say 1900s.
Some guys you are not born.
Yeah, half of this room wasn't born. 1900s. I think I watched my sister. My sister used to go to school at JQ Art. She was studying music. So as part of her thing,
JQ Art had music.
Yeah, they had music back in the day. Yeah. So as part of what she was doing in school, she needed to do a musical, and she happened to do it at Phoenix Theatres. And this was one of the first shows that was actually the first Kenyan show that was written, produced here. It was called Aspirations. And I remember Aspirations was fantastic because there was a cast of about 15 people, including the likes of Charles Kiare, Jimmy Gathu, Mokami Kinoti, name them, the people that we looked up to back in the day. And this particular setup is when I found myself there, I was like, wow. Yeah. These are Kenyans talking about what they want to do when they grow up, talking about life in a language that I understand, I get. And immediately I saw that I fell in love. I was like, maybe this is what I should do. But now getting into school, I completely forgot about it. And I saw that ad. Yeah. I went, and destiny, I suppose.
Yeah, it all fell into place.
Everything fell into place.
It doesn't sound like you went to the kind of schools to have drama festivals.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah. So when is
I didn't participate actually.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
Okay.
I am sorry, Jamhuri High School.
Jamu had it.
I was waiting for that reaction. I just didn't participate then.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you know Jamu, it was hard to participate back in the day of the other activities that we would partake. But I think
it's also in the 90s. I think that joke flew past a lot of people.
It's in the 90s.
yeah.
1900s. And credit to life. If your destiny is to find you, it'll always find you. Yeah. I didn't think about it then, but it found me. Yeah, you can't escape it.
Okay, so as soon as Jamu is done, you go to the Phoenix. You spot the audition, then you head out.
And then I head out. I get into Phoenix. I do my first show. First of all, I went for auditions. There were 3 auditions. You have to go through the first one, and then the callback, and then there's another callback. After the first one, and I'm standing in line with the George Mungais of this world, Ian Bugwa, and the mentor himself, the guru himself, legendary James Falkland, was there, and we were lucky enough to be taught by him. So I go to the audition, and as soon as I finish, I'm like, that's rubbish. That was.
Do you remember what you did?
I can't remember for the life of me. But I remember the English wasn't like this. It was it was a bit from it wasn't polished. Let me say that. So when I left there, I was discouraged. As every audition, I think you would know. And I forgot about it. I was like, I'm done. So when they called me back, it was such a surprise. And James Falkland was very encouraging in terms of, I see something in you, there's a potential, so I want to tap into it. And put me in this show with legendary actresses and actors like Janet Kanini, George, Nini Oshera, Angela Mwandanda, like back in the day, the big names. And first day the first show, the curtains are coming up, supposed to come up, and then I say my line, and then Janet says her line, Janet Wanjohi, and curtain goes up. My first time, I see the audience, and I freeze. I choke. I can't say anything. I'm just like, Janet picks up, curtains go down, and she holds my hand. She's like, calm down. I'm like, shit. It's like, curtains go up again. And blank. My first show, I drew a blank. I could not say a word. I came off, I beat myself, but Janet held my hand. George, it's like, it's your first one. Just calm down. You'll get into it. Just learn to, inhale, exhale before you go on stage and all these amazing things. And from then on, it became slightly easier.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I'm curious about the second show.
I killed the second show. Because I felt first of all, I became confident in where I was and the people who were around me and the support that I got. And I think that's what we don't get a lot. We don't welcome young actors and actresses into the industry, or people who are looking into getting into a space. We don't hold their hands. We usually tell them how bad it is, what they should or shouldn't do, instead of just saying, it's okay, welcome. It'll take a while, but you'll get here. So that's exactly what they did for me, and that's how I got encouraged. So
Do you think that spills over into life?
It is, and I'm finding it every single day. We live life from. I was talking to someone earlier on, and I said we look at life from an outside inside when we should be looking inside and outside. But even if you do that, you need people who are ahead of you to tell you this is how it was, this is how it is, so you don't step on it. I love this young generation because you like taking risks. It's fantastic. But don't disqualify the people who've been there before. Don't disqualify the people who've taken the same path. It might not be the same infrastructure, but they have a lot to tell you. And that's what I'm learning. And this podcast is fantastic to me because I'm at that particular place where I'm unlearning and learning new things. I'm learning how to listen. I'm learning how to look at the people who have gone ahead of me and some of the steps that they've taken to get to where they are. Right? I'm learning to appreciate my pace as well and not try and run ahead of myself because someone else is running a race, right? All these things are fantastic only if you have an open mind to it.
I like that.
You know why that's phenomenal? Sorry for the tangent. It's because if you're, let's say, joining Phoenix in maybe early 2090s, right? Means you're not young, right? And here you are, not young at least by some standards here.
Yeah. Actually, I usually do this. How old do you guys think I am? Because it's very interesting. I get a lot of feedback. Sorry? 26.
46.
Hey, my guy. I wasn't going that direction. I really wasn't going that direction. And if I look 46, I need help. She had 1900s, like old man. What do you guys think?
Who else?
40? I like that one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah? Spot on.
Spot on.
46?
And you know, the best part about it, she didn't even blink.
She didn't hesitate.
How old do you?
She didn't hesitate. It's like, and she said it so bubbly. It's like 46. Ouch.
It's a coffee.
It's a balding.
Oh, good.
But yeah. 42.
Yeah, so at 42,
Yeah.
and you are still in the process of learning
Yes.
intentionally. So if that's not busy being born, man, I don't know what is.
Totally, man. Because when you're growing up in your early childhood, teens, and whatnot, you're copying and mimicking your parents and everything that is around you, right? When you get into your teens, it's about the peers and you know what they teach you. Sometimes they teach you good things, sometimes they teach you bad things, but you have to go through that. In your 20s, it's all about discovering yourself and trying, you know, I'm falling in love, I'm doing this, I'm starting a new job, I'm starting a new career, I'm finding my footing and all these things. By the time you get to 30, all the good things or all the mistakes that you've gone through will compound in your 30s. Right? They will totally change or make who you are. And there's a lot of confusion in our 30s, right? Because that's when the things that you've learned are either working for you or not, right? And most of the time, this is where we make our mistakes, because we will either hold on to our mistakes and say, no, this is who I am because I don't want to be told otherwise, or you will let go and start afresh.
Yeah.
Now, letting go and starting afresh is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. No one wants to be told you're wrong in what you do.
Yeah.
No one wants to be told your thinking is wrong, right? Getting into your 40s is such a beautiful place because, am I allowed to cuss?
Yes, yes, please.
40 is a beautiful place because there's a sense of I don't give a fuck anymore. It's all about me. I'm no longer looking out for answers. Now everything that I'm doing comes from within. Case in point, I love house music. What can I do with this house music? Let me see if I can start an event somewhere. I don't care if anyone is doing it out there. It's what I want to do. I'll do it. It becomes a success. That's the beauty about being in your 40s. And that's the beauty about unlearning and letting go. Once you let go of everything that you think you are, then there's so much space in terms of growth, and that's where you should start.
That's beautiful, man.
Because you're damned to be who you think you are.
That's beautiful. The former preso, birthday like 2 days ago.
Yes.
He was asked about his age. He's in his early 60s.
I think 62,
Do you know?
Yeah.
62, yeah?
Yeah.
It was like, I won't say anything about my age, but life begins at 40.
It really does.
what he
It
said.
really does, because you open your eyes, and at 40 is when you actually define who you are. From
Maqbul,
everything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible that through sitting with people who have, one, gone through this process, and two, are willing to speak about it, and reading, because right now in the information age, we can spend time with you, we can read online about people, we can be very selective about the content we're consuming. All this to ask, is it possible for us to sort of recalibrate that idea?
You can. It depends on the circles. Like I was saying earlier on, you have to have an open mind, first of all, to unlearn. You have to be in a space where be able to get critiqued in who you are, and try and navigate all those emotions of, no, this, I'm right, I'm wrong, and all those things. But you need to be in a space where people, like I said, I was at Phoenix, the show was happening, Janet held my hand, George held my hand, Ian, James, and they showed me this is the way to go. If they didn't, I wouldn't be here. You need that circle. You need to be in that space. I can't be in a space where we are dying every single day and our aspirations and ambitions are to open a podcast, and I want to do aviation. Just doesn't make sense, doesn't it? You need to be in that space where people, if you want to go a direction, be in that space with those people are.
Yeah. So hopefully we can guide a few people and not have to wait until 40.
Yeah. Totally.
Because, guys are learning before us, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not learning from them, then maybe that's a missed opportunity.
This podcast is what back in the day, in the 80s and the 90s, used to be sitting with wazés in a baraza and talking about stuff. This is just it.
You're right.
But now,
basically, baraza.
yeah, but now it's peer-to-peer and getting people who are either in different fields. You can, pass the knowledge, or people who've gone through stuff and they have testimonials and all these things. This is that setting.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Baraza.
Baraza. Exactly.
Okay. Let's get back to the journey. Yeah. I like that in the tangent we took, we've brought out, especially the word intentionality in some way. So at what point do you intentionally decide, you know what, I am an artist and this is what I'll do, this acting thing, even before, maybe it could have been around the same time, before TV takes off, before radio takes off. At what point, could be later as well, do you decide, you know what, I'm actually an artist and this is what I'll do?
First of all, I think art, for a lot of people, not everyone, for a lot of people, art comes from a very dark place. It comes from a very it's trauma, things you've been through. And I see the Divine over there laughing. It's like, yes,
Bandit.
yes, yeah. The Bandit agrees. It comes from a dark place, and I found validation in being on stage.
Okay.
I found validation in people looking at me and thinking, "Wow, you're great. You're doing apps." I was like, "Thank you. This is what I want to do forever." Right?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it as I was going along. But that was just the thing. Just being in a space where, first of all, I felt accepted as I am, because as an artist, you're a bit different from the norm. Even in growing up, like that guy is average. He can do better, but his mind is never, because you're either in art or something different. So it takes a while to find yourself, but that validation is what I think kind of triggered the journey for me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And being able to express myself and people actually thinking, yes.
Yeah. So it's almost as if from a point of need.
It is coming from a point of need.
Yeah.
It is. It has to come from a point of need.
Interesting.
Right.
A follow-up question that you might have an answer to or not, which is all good. Did you ever feel some sort of self-doubt at any point? And how did you deal with that? Especially in those early days?
That is something that it's difficult, because it happens still now. Imposter syndrome is a thing. It's such a thing. When you guys were talking about, Maqbul has done this, I'm like, who are they talking about? Right? To me, I don't see it. I see, yes, I've done the journey. It's been many years, but I feel like there's more to be done. There's always self-doubt. There's always self-doubt. And those nerves that you're feeling earlier on, that doubt, is what you use to push you ahead. And I've always used that. When I feel like maybe this space is too big for me and I shouldn't be here, I carry that and try as much as I can to be in that space. Case in point, when I got into Capital FM and I was doing radio, I was scared. I was like, this is Capital. First of all, my accent doesn't even match this place. Now it does, After many years. I didn't feel like I fit in. I'm standing there with Dini Washera. I'm like, what? Farid Kimani, if this was, I'm like, wait, what? How did I even get here? But I used that to push me ahead. And I kind of say it worked out.
It did.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
So use that whenever you feel, you're not enough. Whenever you have that doubt, whenever you have imposter syndrome, try and channel that into what you're doing. Yeah. Because no one else sees it. It's only you.
Yeah.
No one else. It's like you guys will say, oh, Maqbul. In my head, I'm like, what? Pressure. But you guys can't see that. Yeah. So it's all internal.
What came first?
The chicken or the egg?
TV or radio? TV or radio?
Stage, TV, radio.
Okay. Let's talk about that transition.
Yeah.
Phoenix into TV.
Phoenix, first of all, I didn't even want to get into TV because I thought TV wasn't good enough.
Yeah, you're a purist.
I'm a purist. I'm from Phoenix.
James
I don't even
Falkland.
want to do Kenya theater because it's beneath me.
Yes.
Well, back in the day. And I sort of transitioned from Phoenix. I went to KNT. I did a couple of shows, some musicals. And then KBC was starting an English show. And I remember Emily Wanja, who's an amazing director and producer now, was like, yo, you fit that role of a young guy who is lost in life. Not quite sure what she was thinking, but yeah.
Typecasting.
Exactly.
Right.
It was totally typecasting because I was trying to find myself. And then I got into KBC and Reflections. I heard you talking about it. For those who didn't watch Reflections, Thank you. It was early days in TV. It was really interesting, very interesting.
It was a dope show. What do you mean interesting? It was an awesome show. I remember that was one of the ways that my mother and I spent our evenings.
Again, imposter syndrome. I don't see it. Reflections was the beginning. And here I was coming straight out of theater. You understand theater?
Yeah.
You stand your full height. You talk to the person. There's a certain way you position yourself, right? And even the way you talk talk from the belly, you talk from the gut, open, your diaphragm. TV doesn't work that way.
Voice is different.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
TV, you have to become smaller, very, very small and very natural. So going into that world, the director was so upset after every 10 seconds, like, Maqbul, you're shouting. This is not theater, this is TV. Fine. And then there are 3 cameras. There's one camera over there, one camera over there, one camera over there. I'm playing to all of them. Into it. And again, we had a plethora of talents in that show, from Kamau and Dongo to Ezekiel Onyango, who is the head of KPTA, if I'm not wrong. Autograph? Wow. So we felt like we were there.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic. But I still went back to theater. And then Makutano Junction came calling, and that was it.
That was the life changer.
I am so thankful I did that production, because it taught me a lot. It was one of the few productions in Kenya at that time which took time to train people and expose people into what acting is all about. They got producers, they got directors, they got DOPs from the UK, from shows like The Bill, EastEnders, Casualty, all these top shows. And they came and spent time with us for 13 episodes in like 3 months. It was so much fun. We learned so much. So much. That's something that I'm trying actually to bring back, because this generation wants to be in the arts. There's so much talent out there, but they don't have spaces where they can explore that. They don't have spaces where they can go to get trained and be as fortunate as we were in our space. There's no longer Phoenix. You're trying to bring it back.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that.
Exactly. But we need more spaces like that, because we were fortunate enough to go through that, and we should impart our knowledge as well.
Let's talk about that season. What lesson did you get then? Do you use to date? Yes, of course, they are a good number, but they are top 2.
Don't be afraid to try new things, because if I was a purist, as you say, I wouldn't be here. If I was grounded on theater, I wouldn't be here. If I thought TV wasn't all that, I wouldn't be here. If I wanted money, I wouldn't be here. Be open. Especially, and I tell young guys, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, make the mistakes. Make them so much. That's the best time. Because in your 40s, you can't. You have to solidify your identity and know exactly where you're going, because 50 is around the corner, right? Make as many mistakes. And that's, I think, the one thing that I was privileged enough to do, and be in a space where I was allowed to do that, right? So make them. Yeah. That's the one thing that I carry every single day when I want to try out new things. Again, I go back to the music thing. I've never been a promoter for parties and all these things in stuff people are doing. But I loved the idea of music. I approached a restaurant. They said, cool. We love the idea. We did the first one. I was like, ha, I've done something. All of a sudden, it's like, so can you keep doing it? It's like, oh, so now it's become a jobo.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it. And it's so much fun. It's just experiencing things that I thought I couldn't do, but, now I'm exploring.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Makutano Junction, I think for me, that was the show where all the stars, I think, came together.
Right? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Did you feel like a star as well? Because you're just coming from Reflections. I think there were even more seasoned guys. I think pretty much everyone.
Everyone was in there.
Everyone was there. Every single person. And I love the fact that when you go to a set now, you will find the top guys, whether it's crew or it's the back office or even in terms of actors, are from Makutano. Totally. Every single place you go to. Especially crew, the top crew guys from Makutano. The Sammy Maina.
Yeah.
a lot of other people, I forget their names, but top guys.
Yeah.
All of them from Makutano.
Okay.
And it was so much fun. When I got into Makutano, I felt they were my peers because, first of all, we were acting together at the theater, at KNT, at Phoenix. So a lot of faces were familiar. But also, it was a very difficult time and an interesting time in my life because by then I was, famous. I had fame. And fame is different from being a celebrity because fame, people know you, but chums are not that much.
Yeah.
Right? And it really grew into my mind. And no one at that particular point had gone through such huge stardom in the acting world. And we were trying to find our footing because the people who were behind us, like in Mama Kai, then they were not about celebrity stuff, and we got into that. We were the kind of the first people into it, and it really, really messed me up because then I engaged my ego instead of my talent, and that was a difficult place to be. That was a difficult place to be because yes, you have the talent, yes, you are good, but then again, you feel like everyone owes you something because you are you, right?
Could you give maybe an example of how that worked out, or some scenarios or scenario?
I don't like saying it, but there were times. It's a shame because it's a profession. There were times I would get into set and I'm like, I'm not ready. The sun is not right in my eye. It grew into me, and not exactly that, but yeah, it did. Yeah. And I think the guys watching who know, they saw it, right? I'm not going to come on set in the morning. I want to film in the afternoon. I think it's be much better. Ego kicks in, and you forget it's work. It's not about you. This is work. You have to be professional about it. We, especially actors and musicians, you feel like the whole world is giving you flowers. You're the one. You can do exactly what you want. Even the directors and the producers, everyone is just like, "Oh my God, Maqbul, that was a fantastic scene. You're amazing." It's like, "Thank you."
Tell me more.
I do this every day. Yeah. But yeah, it really messed me up, and I'm glad I had friends in my circle at that time who knocked me out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it then that you realize, okay, this is not working? Did it have to come from you? Because people could be telling you, but you still don't get it. So at what point does it hit you? Like, oh, okay, snap, this is the thing, you now name it.
When there was a new crop of actors coming up, and they were younger, and they were better talented, and they were getting more fame, and I was like, it's no longer about me. How? That's when I knew, it's your job. There's always fresh talent coming behind you. You always have to work on your craft every single day and become better, because if you don't, there's someone who's coming for your job. That in itself kind of scared me a bit. But also looking ahead and seeing, at that point, I'm an elder actor. I'm becoming older every single day, and the roles are becoming fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer. And because of now, you've kind of messed up in different sets with different producers who don't want to work with you. Then the roles are getting even fewer. I had to call myself for a meeting. Had to call myself a meeting, and I said, yeah. From now on, it has to be professional. So I adapted and went back to the philosophy of theater, which is, you have to be prim and proper, and it's all about the work. And that guided me, I think, in getting into radio as well. Yeah.
And thankfully, it was not too little too late.
It wasn't. Thankfully, it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's then speak about the transition into radio. Or do you, after Makutano, what happens? Do you do more TV before they jump into radio? Or
so all the
was that the period that you jumped in?
Yeah. All these things kind of overlapped each other at some point. But I think on the first or second season of Makutano, now the word is out there, big actor, big name. And now I'm getting interviews like, oh, so how did you start out? In the papers. And I remember Nini Ashera is like, yo, we were doing a show together. It's like, I'm doing late night, come. We're doing an interview about, your journey and whatnot. Super excited. First time in radio. Loved it. So there I was, talking to, and Nini and I, Nini has really helped me in my career. Let me just say that. Flowers to Nini Ashera and how many people she's
Nini was on
helped is
episode?
amazing.
Do you remember?
30-something.
That's something.
Yeah.
And I watched that.
Yeah.
Yo, absolutely. And you guys didn't even scratch the surface of her talent.
Yes.
We need another 4 hours.
She's actually the longest
Exactly.
episode yet.
Yeah.
Yo. She held my hand and she taught me so much. On that interview, it was all about Maqbul, so it was fun and games. So when I was talking on air, I didn't know. And this goes to a lot of people. You never know who's listening out there. You never know who's watching. The boss calls like, that guy, his voice.
The boss was listening at night.
Yeah. Because, they have to make sure that all the shows are running well. It's like, that guy in the voice, that voice is kind of cool. Can we interview and just try and see what we can do? It's like, cool. I come back the next day and I meet the amazing Somoina Kimojino. And she's like, you know what? Let's try you out once a week on Thursday for late night. And you'll be the love doctor.
Hey.
Oh, that was you.
So you guys now know who it was. It was a fantastically kept secret because I wasn't the first one. It was called Hitch. You remember Hitch? So the first Hitch was Oyungapala.
Okay. Makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
The second Hitch was, oh dear Lord, David Mureithi. Yeah, it was David Mureithi, if I'm not wrong. And then I was the third Hitch. So I would basically go on air and people would ask questions and I'd give love advice. At 20, I had no idea. So people would call in, it's like, yeah, so my boyfriend and I have broken up. He's going through this. What do you think? I'm like, askmen.com. So I think what you should do is, and radio is a theater of mind, and I grew from that. So
It should be much easier now with ChatGPT.
Exactly. So the transition was fantastic because after a couple of months on late night, they made me permanent. And then there was Chris Lugoy, who was leaving the afternoon drive and who was doing it with my mentor, my good friend, Mr. Alan Kasuja. And Alan was like, I want that guy for late night. Yeah. And the rest, as they say, is history. That was fantastic. Yeah.
That's a dope transition, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
you
amazing.
guys probably sent in like questions. I don't know what one will get in. Oh, good. Oh,
Alan was an amazing show because it wasn't only having just a show with a good friend. It was someone I looked up to, like an elder brother to me. And he guided me on the ins and outs of, first of all, becoming a public figure. Because he'd done it before. He was being called Mr. President in Uganda because even, the guys loved him. So it's like, this is how you handle yourself. This is how you talk to clients. This is how you go to agencies and ask for jobs and whatnot. He really taught me a lot. And I'm so grateful to all my co-hosts who have taught me radio and life, from Nini Ashera to Chow, Alan Kasuja, Linda Mureithi. And then I got into one of the biggest shows I've ever done with Ses Mutungi. I think that was the biggest show. That show, we had the president call in just to tell us you guys are talking nonsense.
No, is that true?
So I'll give you a scenario. There was one day with Ses. We were the Prime Minister's office. That time, they bought a helicopter to monitor traffic. We went on for like an hour. How nonsensical that is. How stupid the idea of having a helicopter to monitor traffic in Nairobi is. We just got a call. It's like, you people. It's like, hey, that sounds familiar. This is the right honorable. We're like, wow, no way.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
Is this live?
This is live on air, right? And we're like, we apologize, but to us, this is how it sounds. Like, no. This is what we're trying to do. It's like, thank you, Sanabora Prime Minister. That's when we knew this show is big. So we kept on talking nonsense. Because now we know, we are the guys.
Yeah.
We got a letter. It was very interesting, from the United States Embassy. I don't know what we're talking about, but something America.
Yeah.
and They wrote a letter and said, yeah, you're one of the people who are being monitored and listened to even from Washington. We're like, what? Now let's talk even more. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Us and having fun on air. I remember, it's a very bad joke, but pardon me. My good friend Kolo from Klepto told me a very interesting joke, and I went on air and I was telling Sess, because we'd pick up stories and then just tell each other.
Bad idea.
And I remember we're talking about, people who have stammers.
Wow.
It's very, very difficult. Sometimes, especially when you're being interviewed and you're a stammerer, it's very difficult. So we're talking about our good friend Dennis Oliech and how it's so hard. We did tell him this joke and he found it funny. How hard it is for him when you're talking on the phone. It's like, VP Deno. Do. So we're saying, it told us, hey, maybe Safaricom and Airtel should introduce a tariff
For
stammerers.
Yeah.
And it should be called Gugumu tariff.
Wow.
You guy got a phone call from Safaricom, Handicap Association of Kenya. It was ridiculous. But in that, we found a sense of who we are, our identity, and the identity of the show. And it resonated. Like, you guys are laughing at right now because you used to listen, and it was that passion and who we were transcending through the airwaves. Right? We did make a couple of bad jokes and some good jokes, but it was just that essence of where we were and how we accepted ourselves, and the chemistry that we had, which was fantastic.
This is a lot for that season.
It was so much fun, but that's when we learned how big we were and how big Kenya is opening up in terms of just wanting their own content, right? So after Ses Mutungi, I had, one or two other, presenters, and then I moved to Breakfast, I remember. And that's when I had to become serious. So I had to...
Breakfast is different.
Breakfast is different because afternoon it's fun and games. Afternoon is we're sitting at a bar somewhere and everyone is eavesdropping on our conversation. That's the afternoon drive. The morning show is prim and proper. I'm talking to CEOs, I'm talking to MDs, I'm talking to people who are making decisions, right? So I had to take my game to the next level. And that was fantastic. And I couldn't have a better co-host than Renee Ngamau. Who is she calls herself a recovering lawyer. She's a lawyer and a human rights activist, and she just changed the complexion of who I was. And I had to stand for something, and that really helped me in becoming, who I am. Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure as well, because right before you guys was Farid and Shanice?
It was Farid and Shanice, and then it was Gaetano and Ibn Souza before that, and then it was Chris Foot and Ray.
And
Chris Foot and Ray?
And Renee?
And Renee.
Yeah.
Chris Foot and Renee.
Yeah.
Right? So when I stepped in, it just changed completely, because it's bringing bar fun times into breakfast serious talk, and it was a match made in heaven.
Were you the one who advocated or went for the move to breakfast, or was it something that was done out of need by the station?
My career is very interesting because it's opportunities that open up, and I jump on them and I run with them, and I get comfortable. But as soon as I get comfortable, I get other opportunities, and I have to elevate. Now is when I'm like, now I'm defining. That's why I'm saying in your 30s, make your mistakes, because opportunities are there. Go for them. When you're in your 40s, now you define the path and where you want to go. But it was more necessity for the station as well, because at that time there was a bit of a struggle, and we had proper numbers in the afternoon. In any radio station, they'll tell you the breakfast show is the flagship of the company. And now the drive show is the supportive. But we became bigger than the breakfast show at that point, so we needed a split of some sort, so to balance it out. So it was the necessity, but it was also a calculated move, so to speak.
Okay. How is your day looking? Yeah? Are you still doing TV around that season? So there's breakfast, there's radio, and there's theater as well?
You're popping here and there in shows.
Exactly. So I will say this. I haven't if you've looked at my career, I don't do many things.
Okay.
I do things that I'm drawn to, right? I do things that I feel will propel me to the next thing. And when it comes to acting, it's just been that. It's been reflections to Makutano to Antibos. And Antibos and Vashita were not actually things that I wanted to do. It was just if D'Souza was starting a company at that point in terms of Antibos, and it's like, yo, come, let's have some fun. I was like, I'm doing one episode, right? 15 episodes later. And Vashita was just that. I was like, yo, I know this is a spin-off. Let's just do one season. 7 years later, it just became that. And yeah, that's just been who I am, jumping from one place to another. But now I'm trying to define where I'm going, and I've taken a bit of a sabbatical from acting. I do take these breaks for a year or so, and it's encouraged as an artist because you want to, open your mind up to other things. So the acting is on a backseat a bit. The radio is exciting because I'm trying to build something. I can't say yet, but in a few months you shall see. And yeah, everything else is just a bit of touch and go right now. Yeah.
What about that season though? Are you, when you're doing Breakfast, are you also on TV then? Or is this one of those sabbatical
that was
seasons?
difficult.
Yeah.
That was really difficult. When I was doing the breakfast show with Renee, I remember I would work until 10 o'clock after the show, an hour until with clients, trying to find out how the show was, what we can do to improve. I dash off because at 11:30 I'm supposed to be on location doing Vashita. And if anyone has spent time on set, it's not an easy thing. So my day is starting at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the office by 4:35. I do the show until 10. I have clients meetings until 11, and then I run to set until 6, 7, sometimes 8 o'clock if I'm not doing anything else. But mostly I would be emceeing as well, events. So I have a day that starts at 3 o'clock in the morning, ends at around midnight. And I repeated that for a very, very long time, that I got burnout and I fell into depression. That was a difficult time. That was a very difficult time. And I kept on telling myself, it's passion. I'm doing this because I love it, because I want to elevate and go to the next level. I have a family now. I have kids who are looking up to me. I have a spouse who is expecting things. And you have the world, which is looking at you like, you are the guy, and you have no one to tell you, or to, someone who you can go and decompress, so to speak, and say, I'm not at 100%. I can't do this. But the radio don't care. You have to come to work. The production doesn't care. You have to film because they have deadlines. At home, people don't care. You have to be the father, and you can't go out and entertain people and then come home and be like, I'm so tired. I don't want to talk. No. Their expectations, their expectations in each and every corner. I didn't find a place where I can exhale, and that slowly started eating me up. It ate me up a lot. I went into depression, but because I'm in the entertainment world, I have to smile and take it with a smile. And at some point, I did become suicidal. It was very, very difficult. It was the most rewarding bit because I put in the work and the brand reflects up until now, but it took a lot out of me. It took a lot out of me. Yeah. And that's why I started by saying, go at your own pace. There's no rush. Don't look at someone else's journey and think, I want to do that. Don't be in a rush and think there's this scarcity mentality that jobs are ending, there's no money and whatnot. Just take your time. I had many opportunities, but I should have just planned myself properly. But no one told me that.
Yeah. Do you see it coming?
I did. In all honesty, I did, but I pushed it down, I suppressed it, because like I said, you have to smile. You have to keep up appearances. I was hosting and emceeing like 3 or 4 times in a week. Emceeing dictates that I'm the person who's bringing the energy. On air, I have to bring in the energy.
You're giving.
I saw it coming because there were times I would drive to work and sit in the car for like half an hour and just not want to be and just zone out. There are times when I would finish the show in the evening and drive home, and I would hear my kids and my spouse in the house, and I would just be in the parking bowling out because I'm like, I'm tired and no one understands me. There's no one I can talk to. No one. That was a difficult period. And I didn't pay much attention to it because then again, we are in Nairobi, Kenya, Africa. Who are you going to turn to say, I'm depressed, help me? Now we're talking about it. Now men are allowed to actually say what they feel. We weren't. We were not given that space and opportunity. And then at the peak of your career, it's like, I'm depressed. What's wrong with this guy?
You're doing good.
This guy is making money left, right, and center. Are you seeing the car that you're driving? Are you seeing the house that you're living in? It's not all about that. It's more to us as a human being than what you see. Don't quantify yourself by capitalism. Don't say I am because I have money. Define yourself as who you are. And at that point, I wasn't given that space to define myself. I was owned by the public, and I. This is something that I'm trying to. Maliauma. I'm trying to talk to young guys who are in the limelight and just tell them about this. You don't have to play for the applause every single time. You don't have to do that. Just be yourself and take your time. If you feel like you need to be in a place where you need to, shut down the world, do so. You're an artist because we give from the heart. We give. You need space to just be yourself.
Bro, I feel you on so many levels. Yeah, because personally, pia niko mahali hapo.
I remember I told you when we were earlier on when we were coming up the lift, and I was telling this guy, for an artist, it's difficult because you wear two hats. You're an artist and this is a business. This is a business. As much as we're having fun and talking about art and all these things, you can't remove one hat and not put the other one on. You need to balance it out. That fine balance of a business person and a creative living in a bohemian space is really difficult. Yeah.
Hey, so stories like yours give us hope for sure. 2 questions.
Yeah.
Number 1, at what point does it hit you? Okay, now I need to start thinking of a way out. And number 2, how do you rise from it?
The point for me when I felt, this is it, is I'd gone out with friends, and I think I'm saying this story because it's in the papers. I love talking about what I've gone through because other people will find something in it that they can pick. I went out with a couple of friends, woke up in the morning in a bed by myself, and I'm like, my family, I've wronged my family. They're no longer, part of me. My friends at that particular point was a bit on touch and go. I just saw darkness all around. I didn't see any optimism. And I woke up with a knife in my hand. I woke up with a knife on my hand and people around me because I'd sent my mom and I'm like, yo, this is it. But because I'd gone out drinking, I kind of passed out before. So when I woke up, I'm finding people around me and I'm holding the thing. And some of the people who were around were my kids as well. And they were crying, right? That was a turning point for me. Not so much for myself, but even for them. I'm like, those guys depend on me every single day. Those guys look at me and think I'm the greatest person on earth. There has to be something in me that can lift me out of this. But it had to come from me. But also, the people who were in that room that day, who were family, helped me. Because they understood and they gave me that space to heal. And they held my hand. If it wasn't for family and close friends, it would have been really difficult. Because the whole world, again, I say, they don't see that. They just see you as that person who they look up to, or that person that they can get something from. And when it runs out, you will be dropped.
Yeah, you're no longer useful.
You're no longer useful. So family really, really helped in getting me out. My siblings, my close friends, even my co-host at that time, Renee, and my boss. Because my boss was graceful enough to understand, I'm going through this season and it's going to be difficult to be on air as well. Because I used to drive to work, get to the parking, hear my co-host, and turn the car around and go home and draw the curtains and sleep. Because I didn't have the energy at all to do anything. So credit to the people who are around me at that point, and my co-workers as well, who just stood by me and helped me through. If you don't have that kind of support in your life, find it. Especially with family. We have squabbles as families every single day, but the most important people are your family and the people who are around you. If that wasn't there, we might not be speaking.
Yeah.
We might not be speaking here.
Yeah. What are we doing? Are we hanging out? Are we talking about it? What are we doing? How are we journeying out of that valley?
How's the route back up?
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Again, now I'm doing things like house music. I'm enjoying it. And it's in finding those things and finding those moments of creativity that spark it out. Now I'm looking, like I said, it's from inside to out, not out in. I gave myself pressure because there were expectations. These people expect that one expects, that one expects. But now I'm like, okay, now this is what I'm giving out. This is what I'm churning out. If it's not good enough, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's coming from, I want to take a break. I want to take a sabbatical from acting. I will take it.
Yeah.
Whether there's money or not, right? But pacing myself as well and seeing the end goal where I want to be has really helped, because now I'm working towards that and bringing people. It's not, this is opportunity. Now make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two questions. One is, actually maybe they're related, and one is more of a quip than a question. Of course, I think with 3 hours of sleep, it compounds things a lot.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
But then the other question is, based on that experience, because again, we are in the business of trying to learn as much as possible from people who've gone through these things. What are some of the things that, even if it's not an artist, it's people in our spaces, a lot of people in tech, who more or less the path might look different, but sometimes it really isn't, right? This life is more
Still
or less
a human journey.
Still a human
It's a
journey.
human
right?
journey.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that maybe looking back, you'd say, okay, you should be looking out for those things? I think one of them is obviously like the endless fatigue.
Exactly.
What are some of the other things from that experience?
Just talking to people about how they feel and where they are at that. We never ask each other properly, like, how are you? What are you going through? How have you been?
Niko, bro.
Exactly. Especially that one. Niko poa, bro. Niko poa. No. How are you doing?
Really?
The other day, I saw you're drinking until 5 o'clock in the morning at the bar by yourself. Bro, what's going on? Right? The other day, I saw you guys and your wife, you're fighting online. What's going on? How are you? We have this thing of keeping up with the, Joneses, Kardashians, whoever.
Wagis.
Yeah. That we don't want people to see the real us. There's a sense of shame because, one thing or the other. Just talk, just be. Find out, especially people who are close in your circle, find out how they're doing on an everyday. Friendship, love, all these things are not things that just happen. You have to work on them. And if I care about you, I should be able to call you up and say, yo, bro, the other day, you were sounding a bit off. Tell me what's going on. You seem a bit sad. I know you and the wife are going through problems. You're living in separate rooms. How does that make you feel? Where are you mentally? We don't ask those questions. The best we can do is, hey, Kamande, you're going through things. Acha nikununulika drink. Acha nikununulika drink, mtu wangu. Swipe panic, itakuwa sawa. Madem mina kwambiaga. Or for the ladies, it's the other way around. It's like, these Kenyan men, these Nairobi men, me have been telling you. Just find yourself a kayanging, and we're not helping each other.
You're right.
We're really not helping each other.
Yeah.
Instead of, trying to elevate the sense of depression that is around, we are digging ourselves deeper by these toxic narratives every single day. And it's worse off for men because there's a sense of showing off to other men. I don't know why we want to show off to the other guy that I'm a man more than you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Have you ever been around a group of guys and one of them is rich? Like wealthy. All the other men are kissing. It's like, hey, you guy, maze.
But you guy,
maze.
know, my man.
You know me, I keep on telling you, Mato. Mato is the guy we need to.
Yeah. All their jokes are funny. Yeah. Yeah, true story.
Yeah. The guy says hi, we laugh.
Yeah.
Because he has chums. We need to be in a space where we can be authentic. I think that's my word for the year.
It's evolutionary, man. That's the selling thing. I feel like all of life is us working against evolution.
Exactly.
Because again, what's the idea of like us out competing other men? It's evolutionary, right? That's how we used to survive. That's how nature built us in order to compete in this world.
We're no longer in that space because right now we're in a space where we're operating from feelings. We're no longer, we don't need to hunt.
Yeah.
We don't need to, build the biggest mansion and have the most kids to stand out. Now it's an individual. We're in a space where it's individualism. It is a good thing, it's a bad thing because we don't have a sense of community anymore, or we're losing that. But we're defining ourselves, and as a human being, we're coming to the essence of a human being. You're no longer about creed, about race, about your wealth, about everything else. It's you. So if it's you and I, why am I impressing you?
Yeah.
Why am I fighting this shame of I'm not good enough just because he's wearing a Breitling and I'm wearing a Casio and it's a problem? It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
I like that.
Yeah.
A lot of effects of, I don't know, capitalism, urban isolation. There's so much there.
Urban isolation.
Yeah.
It is true. It is true.
Okay. Let's talk about the career now. So the question would be, what are the wins you're getting? There's one firm one. The wins is there's a coming back to self, yeah?
Yes.
Around this season, we also see you disappear from TV and radio. So what is the next big win career-wise? When do we see you back up? Is it, and this is now getting closer to COVID, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I chose I think my journey to becoming self was when I left work.
Okay.
In 2019, things were really tough economically. And the entertainment sector was really hit hard, one of the first ones, and radio was one of the sectors that was hit. So as every company did at that point, there was a sense of, reducing your salary, taking a 50% or 20% cut or not. I chose not to. And at that point I said, I don't want to do it anymore.
This was still at Capital.
Yes. And I said, thanks, but it's all good. No worries. Yeah. That was the beginning of my journey because now I started choosing self. It was difficult because COVID hit and, finances and everything that happened, but choosing to take care of myself first rather than the entire world, choosing not isolation, but a sense of a breather for self was a good place to be. And that's how I began my journey. And then I started now cutting off the toxic bits of me, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's your colleagues. Reduce the noise around, and then I got to a place now, I was like, okay, fine. Now I can start rebuilding slowly and surely. What do I want to do? What's my end goal? Where am I heading? Who am I heading there with? Those are the tough questions that I asked myself, and then I started rebuilding myself from that pattern. And it's fun because now I'm just doing what I want to do with the people I want to do it with and at my own pace.
I have two questions. One is career related and one is sort of from something you mentioned earlier and then sort of trying to find a link with something you've just said. So let me do the personal one first. So on one hand, when you're going through these episodes, there is family by your side, and it's the family that sort of helps you up. But on this other hand, you have to recognize that there is a likelihood of toxicity from the same family. How do you maintain that balance? I think that's a question that all of us have to deal with. If we're being frank with ourselves, we have to deal with that every day, because on one hand, family is everything. But on the other hand, they could be potentially the biggest source. One of the biggest of misery and unpleasant situations. How do you hold those two views together?
I'll say this. The antidote to all that, and I applied it, was honesty. We have to be honest. As Kenyans, we're not honest. We're very mild with each other. We've been taught. And I think it's a colonial thing that happened where it's yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, sir. You're taught to be humble. Be humble. Don't talk back. Someone older than you need to respect them. What if they're toxic? Right? We have to be honest, and those are the things that I actually did. I sat down with my family and spoke about things that had never been touched on. I spoke to my mom about things that were very tough, and she found them tough because now I've come to the fore. I want to know, right? Those difficult conversations were the ones that helped, but we don't do that. We like just, pushing it aside. We don't
Sweeping it under the carpet.
we don't deal with issues. It's like, I don't like Maggie. Maggie the other day did A, say day. I'm not gonna talk to Maggie again. How's about you tell Maggie, yo, bitch, the other day, pardon any Maggie. Pardon any Maggie in the house, I'm sorry. But when was the last time you went and said, yo, Kamande, the other day, I didn't like the way you spoke to me. I have issues with self-esteem. And then you spoke to me badly in front of people. I felt bad. I'm not discrediting you as a friend, but I'm solidifying our friendship by being honest. We never did that. And especially in family, we never do that. Because we don't want to disturb the fabric. But we have to. Tough conversations have to be had in order to strengthen who you are and your bonds. Even as husband and wife. You can't be sleeping in separate rooms and living your own lives just because you don't want to come to the acceptance that it's over. I don't feel the same way. Maybe we've had 50 years between us, but now our children have gone and now we're just pals. We should call it quits maybe. But no, what will society say? Who is this society that we're always trying to impress? Who is this society that's always looking at us and with an eye, it's like, so today in the morning they woke up and they argued. That's all in our heads. If we can be honest with each other, then we can grow from that, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Then what's the career leap then after that? And sorry for the many tangents. So you take the breather. Yeah. I think it's at this point that we hear you at Nation, no?
Nation.
Yes.
This is during COVID.
Exactly. So after COVID, I thought I've done 13 years in radio. I've done 20 years, and it hit me actually the other day. I was counting. I was like, God damn, that's a long time. Because I've done 23 years in this industry. And I thought, okay, what's the next step? I've learned all these things. Where is the industry at the moment? It's at a place where we're transitioning. And we are the guys now who have all the information. We've gone through it. Now it's my time to translate that. And I found my calling. I was like, now I'm going to do something with radio to try and teach the next lot. And that's how I found myself in Nation, because now I got into management. And I learned more about life and about, professionalism through that as I wanted to teach. And after that, I went to another organization as well, and I was managing director. And even then, the purpose was only to teach and show guys. But also I learned a valuable lesson in scaling up and where I needed to be. So in a collective, I found myself. So beautiful. I'm teaching, but at the same time, I'm elevating myself in a space where now I become a voice for something different. And not only in Kenya, because the narrative that is Africa is changing and the renaissance is happening now, guys. And if you're not taking advantage of it and not seeing it, there's something wrong. We are no longer bound by the borders that are Kenya. Africa is rising every single day. We can't be celebrating Nigerians and South Africans and think we are a silo. We are not. We are part of all these things. The narrative that is in Kenya is the same in Lagos, is the same in South Africa. South Africa don't have elec the same way Nigeria doesn't have elec, the same way KPLC is doing us on this side. Think broader, think bigger.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, we could snap to that.
Happy to do that.
This is like really dope. Let's tie it in with the Busy Being Born podcast. Yeah. So around late 2020, we are doing our first few episodes, and we are like, someday in the future, we'd like to sit with Maqbul and have a chat. Right?
Yep, 100%.
Episode
We
1
have-
to
we-
3.
We have a list somewhere.
No way.
Yeah, no, totally. You think this is an accident?
I was just like, because this guy called me for a script the other day, I felt like, oh, now he wants me to be in the podcast.
No, we have dream guests.
And actually, thank you. Something I haven't mentioned is I was supposed to, I haven't done theater in a very long time, and I was looking to go back to theater as a huge thing. And Martin gave me the opportunity. It's unfortunate there are other things that were happening on the side that I couldn't really commit, but thank you.
Asante.
Thank you.
Asante.
Coming back to theater, I think is something big to me, because going back into roots and establishing yourself is fantastic. And
Yeah.
I want to be there. So I got you.
Asante. But you did come back to acting, because we now saw Crime and Justice. Anyone?
Yes.
Anyone?
Yes.
No. And we saw County 49. Anyone? Maze, I saw a review the other
But
day.
let me say,
Jesus Christ.
County 49, let me just say off the tangent, this guy, in Kenya, we have very few script writers, and they are tasked to write so many of these shows that you're seeing. Sometimes the stories just overlap and they don't make sense. County 49 was a show by artists for artists. It was a show by actors for actors, and directed by an actor. It was one of the most amazing projects I've done in the past. In the past. It was fantastic, because I was telling you, because you asked about some of the character traits that I had. That came solely because I was working with a director who we were every single day.
Do you mind telling the story? Because I was mind blown out of
Some
this one.
context. So, County 49, I play the deputy governor, if you haven't watched, and he's ambitious, and he's trying to, as every other politician, scale up and, take the big seat. But through that, he does things that are not necessarily aligned with the law and stuff like that. And at the end, he kind of offs himself because of the pressures that are happening. So we had to develop a character, first of all, who is a politician, someone who is confident in themselves, someone who is, straight back, so to speak, but also someone who is nervous, and you can see there's a quirk, because as I was telling him the other, just a few minutes ago, we all have tweaks that we have every single day, but we don't notice it. For example, I lick my lips
To lubricate the lies.
That's what he said. Yo, I have that quirk, and it's a quirk. I don't even notice it, but whenever I'm nervous around people, I'll think my lips are dry. So I'll constantly be licking my lips, or I'll be doing this. I'm like, and that's just my quirk. For the character, I developed a quirk based on the pressures of life. So what do people in high demanding jobs do? They are always out and about. They don't have a moments of sleep or rest. And what do they suffer from? They suffer from things like high blood pressure. They suffer from gout and all these things. They suffer from acidity and ulcers. So I chose ulcers. And what happens when you're in an episode where you have ulcers, you have pain. Where's the pain? Usually somewhere here, right? So constantly the character, when there are moments of stress, he would feel it. And I thought it was just me developing it, and the director was like, fantastic. He pointed it out.
Yeah, I noticed it.
Yeah,
I
and
picked, like, this guy is is Maqbul okay as a person, first of all? It's just, is this intentional? But then I had something at the back of my mind that it was actually very intentional. That's why, that's the first thing I asked you.
Yeah,
when I
so
saw
whenever the character would go under pressure, and then it became something that I did without even thinking. Because the other person would say something and be like, that's the first reaction I would have. But why I'm saying this is credit to the script, because it was so strong that it allowed us to grow characters and develop who we were. So you guys, kudos, eh?
Asante. Let me mention the whole team by the GS story. Shout out Pauline, shout out Brian Munene, Likarion, shout out Millicent Togutu, Kibanda Pictures, and Showmax, maze. Tweetieni kazi zingine.
If you haven't watched County 49, it's on Showmax. I can if you don't pay for Showmax, I can give you the account. No, seriously, you need to watch.
And also, we need to
49.
give them their flowers. Eh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh yes, Showmax.
We really need to give them their flowers because the celebration that we're having in terms of our artists is because they've given a platform to guys.
You're right.
Now we're telling our stories. I was watching Pepeta the other day.
Better you guys.
Yeah,
That is good.
and I had to sit down with my nephew. I'm like, wamesema? Because some of the language is very strong, but I appreciate we've gotten to that particular point, right? We're no longer, trying to copy or adapt and all these other stories. Now we're making stories for ourselves. Who would have thought something like that people would be, constantly ramming on about? Pepeta is huge because it resonates with who we are. The language is us. And that's where we need to go. We celebrated Kenyan music because it started sounding like us. When Sauti Sol broke out, it wasn't because of anything, huge that no one had done before. It's just that they sang in Swa. And all of a sudden, Swa started sounding sexy. It's like, God damn, I can actually tune a chick with these lines. Coming back to who we are is good. Now we're doing, like I was saying, my favorite genre at the moment, Afro house music with folk music. Like Kikuyu music that we usually go and listen to in Bomas, Mugithi, and now fused with something that you can go to the club and enjoy.
Yeah.
Coming back home.
2020, there was a question in there somewhere that we lost track of, if you remember.
2020.
Yeah.
In some way, I feel we covered it. But how did you survive COVID? That season. Was it a good one for you?
COVID was hard.
Yeah.
COVID was really hard. And like many Kenyans were going through, it was a tough situation. First of all, as artists, you always need an outlet, right?
Yeah.
To just express yourself and just, now I can be. There was nowhere we could do that.
Yeah.
And then locked up in houses where spouses were, people are not getting along, and we used to pretend because you'd spend 15 hours outside and then come back home for an hour or so. Now you're locked up in a space where you have to deal. Wow, boy, didn't we face it? All of us. It pushed us to become honest into about where we were. And I wasn't any different. I had to go through that space and actually come out on the other side and think, okay, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, now carry on forward. But it was a perfect place, I think, because whenever there's chaos, there's opportunity. You just have to see what the opportunity is, whether it's in business or personally. To me, it was an opportunity to reset. And I loved the fact that I reset.
It worked to you.
Loved it. I loved it. I was busy being born.
Hey. Thank you for okay.
That was so much.
All right, as we begin to wrap up, a few things that maybe touch on pieces of your journey that you've mentioned, but I think we might not necessarily be able to get deep into them, but it's worth highlighting, right? Yeah. The relationship between you and your parents, for instance.
Right.
Anything that you've picked up that you still carry with you right now as a lesson?
How's
that relationship, by the way?
It was I think like any other relationship, many of us in Nairobi or Kenya experienced, where your parents are your parents. There's no like deep connection or relationship.
They are father and mother, not mom and dad.
They are there to be listened to. They're mom and dad, right? But with my father, there was a bit of a tussle because there were expectations, and I'm trying really hard, and I learned that lesson with my father. It's not about me it's about my kids. I shouldn't impart my fears, especially, onto my kids. And we do that all the time with our children. Don't do A, B, C, D, because I went through it. But it's a different space and time, right? Don't go and do da-da-da, because I went through it and I have a fear that, my kids will go through it. But what I'm doing is I'm stunting their growth, because they have no fears in what they're doing, but I'm pulling them back. And that's the kind of relationship that I think I had with my dad because of his fears. So I cowed a bit. And if we were a bit more open, if we'd spoken a bit more then, it would have been bigger. But the father-son relationship, the mother-daughter relationship is very, very important. Very, very important, because your first hero as a boy is your father. That's the person you look up to. They have the power to decide how you're going to be, whether you're going to be a strong person or you are going to feel less in life, so to speak. I appreciate the lessons my father taught me. I appreciate the whoopings once in a while that were there, because I got discipline from it. But I just wish we sat down and we spoke as father and son. Just talk. But we never had that. So what I'm doing right now is trying to create a different vibe with my kids. I talk to my kids about everything. Everything. They're getting into their teens, but we have such a beautiful relationship. My daughter is always telling me, actually, she called me before I came here, and she's like, have you oiled your lips? Because I know you're just going to go there and lick your lips, and then they're going to be dry. Yeah. And that's the kind of relationship that I have. I wouldn't have that with my parents, right? A space where I can come and say, Dad, I'm thinking about girls. Is this right or is this wrong, right? I didn't have that. Can you imagine if we're in this particular space right now? I was born in 2020, whatever, and then I'm trying to have a conversation with Dad. Dad, I'm not quite sure if I identify as A or B. Can you imagine that conversation? And as I'm talking about it, there are people who are going through it and they can't. So parents are very important, and I'm very thankful. My mother saw something in me earlier on and encouraged me, which was the arts, and pushed me in that direction, because she felt that is a space where I found myself and I started expressing myself. So she pushed me into that direction. Yeah. If it wasn't for those efforts, it would have been different. Even my dad, actually, let me celebrate him, because he really was proud of the fact that I got to where I got. In the beginning, he wasn't. It was like, you're a Muslim boy. You can't be, doing all these funny things. You need to be prim and proper. And I used to go to Jamia Mosque, and his friends would be like, yo, your son is so amazing on TV. We're seeing that reflection show is fantastic. And that's when it hit him. He's like, yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy. That's my boy.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this. I'm sure most of you who listen to the podcast have. We always start with the present, then go very professional. And as you can notice, we are coming back to the more and more personal.
Yes.
So the space, we could have started, but we always choose to do it slightly around the end, is where did it all start? Like, mom, dad, where did you grow up? Mtaani ilikuwa wapi? And all that.
I may have had the privilege,
Yeah.
In the beginning, I thought, wow, this journey is crazy, because we kept on moving from place to place. But what I collected from those places is what made me into who I am. So, born and bred in Mombasani. I was born in Mombasa, Chuda. And then in 1988, that sounds like 1900, a long time ago for a lot of you. In 1988, we moved to Kisumu, because my mom was a teacher, and lived in Kisumu for about 2 years. And then 1990, we moved to Nairobi, South Sea. And from then on, lived in Nairobi. But from South Sea, we moved to Pangani, and lived with an Indian community, which was fantastic, learned so much. Our next door neighbor was called Maqbul as well. So there was always this funny thing about, who's Maqbul? Which Maqbul? And from Pangani.
Maqbul mgani wa kulamba lips.
I hadn't started then. By then, licking our lips was a trend back in the day. You see the way people are doing water, as we used to do. LL Cool J.
LL Cool J.
LL Cool J was the
LL.
guy.
Yeah.
You used to talk to girls and them. So from Pangani we moved to Caliph. And you can see the trajectory. We had chums and then it just,
Life was happening.
you can see life was happening. And I appreciate that because one of the things that you're asking me about parents and learning, I learned that my father is a man and a human being. Where I am right now, the things that I'm going through, I see him as a man because I see the things that he went through. So at that particular point, we moved to Caliph. And Caliph raised me. And then went to Eastlands. And if you grew up in Eastlands, you know life. Yeah. And I was humbled enough to go through some experiences that built me as a human being, and having the opportunity to see life from a different place, from a have to have not to have, is a thing that to me is beautiful. Because as a human being, I get to see life and see people in different spaces. I can't judge because I've been through it and I've seen it.
You've
And
been
it's
in
an
the
amazing
trenches.
experience.
Yeah.
Never discredit your experiences.
Busy being born.
Busy being born. You've touched a bit about you, obviously Mohammed, Muslim. Anywhere, or rather, in another way, what's your relationship with a supreme being, with spirituality, this journey back inward?
If the center of my existence is through him. When we pray, we are talking to God. And I've learned the language of having a conversation with God on one-on-one. There's a difference between beliefs, who you're talking to, your supreme being, and religion. The Bible, the Quran, all religious books are books of law. And what is law but an interpretation of how you see it as a human being? We've turned that and religion into weapons that we're using against each other. See the wars that are happening right now. See the judgments that are going on. You're right, you're wrong, you should be facing this side, you shouldn't be facing this side. The essence of God is you. The essence of the holy person is you. The image of the holiness is you, isn't it? So God resides. Yes, I do practice 5 times, but it's the essence of God in me, and he has walked with me through life. Through the ups, through the downs, through the excitement, through the bad things. And let's not humanize God. And that's the problem that we have most. I think we have a problem. It's like, God is angry. That's your emotion as a human being. The Divine says in the book that he sees all. From the beginning to the end, he knows all. He knows all of us. So how is it that he can pick on you and say, because you did A, B, C, D, you're bad? That's because someone else told you. That's because someone pointed out. And that's from their opinion. The Divine is here in your heart, and live it every single day as is there.
Yeah, there's a quote I love which says that man created God in his own image.
Totally. And that's why we are having so many problems, because instead of looking within the God in us, we're looking outside and thinking, you're doing wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. That I find it really annoys me when people judge from that perspective. You don't know someone's journey. Just because someone is out drinking until 4 o'clock in the morning, you have no idea what they're going through. You can't judge them and say, God is so upset with you. God is seeing what that person is going through. God is seeing that person at that moment doesn't have a job. He doesn't have money. He can't provide for his family. The only thing he can do right now is escape. Do you think God is not with that person?
He's deep inside him.
We don't see from end to end. We don't see the complications people are going through. Therefore, we shouldn't judge. You see someone going through something or doing something that you think personally, in my opinion, is not right, pray for them. That's the most you can do. But don't judge. We judge each other, and we have no basis of understanding where people are coming from. Just because we think that the God in us is right. everyone has a God in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, I've been wanting to snap for like every word he says. Kila kitu niko tu, Danny, yo,
Yeah, man.
I think if we stretched it any longer, we'd be asking too much of already what we've gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just jump into our final three. And you already know the drill. Mi naangalia ni kama nasikizanga podcast. I hope you
That's exactly what I say.
like I have so much confidence in you, Nico. Yeah, you know what we do. Naangalia za bro, what you talking about? Usikize episode. Anyway, so yes, our final three. We could jump into that.
Could jump in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're to have dinner with, we'll give you three people.
Oh my God, I used to ask these questions on air.
Man, we didn't steal it from you. Maybe
Maybe we did.
Three people, dead or alive, once in a lifetime opportunity. Who would those three people be, and maybe a few remarks about why?
And these people can change in whatever season in your life. So for now, who comes to mind?
My father. My father passed away in 2012. I would love to have a discussion with him, man to man, and say, yo, check out where I am and what I've done with my life, and some of the things that, you know, I've managed to accomplish, but more so the type of man that I am. I would love for him to see that. The second person is Muhammad Ali. For some reason, Muhammad Ali is one of the few people I think who encompasses someone who lives without fear and stand for what you believe in, regardless of what the whole world is telling you, what the entire world is telling you. Stand for what you believe in. And I would love to just sit down with him and find out where he finds that courage and how he can stand all that and still be great. Because right now, if I chomoka here and someone says something bad on Twitter about what I said, my life is done. I'm like, oh my God. Because of one person's opinion. The whole country at some point was against him. He stood firm in what he believed in. Yeah. The third person I would love to sit with again is Chris Kirubi. Chris Kirubi is known for many things. And God bless his soul, he really made a change in different industries and spheres of the professional world. But he had a drive in him that he started from when he was younger to when he passed on. It's not every single day you find someone who has managed to achieve so much and gathered enough wealth for them to stay somewhere under a tree, a palm tree, and sipping on pina coladas and say cheers. But he constantly had that drive. I'm not done yet. And when I got to a certain point, I want to impart this knowledge to the young guys. He surrounded himself with nothing but young guys. And there was guys who were like, oh, you can't do that. But he felt comfortable because young guys kept him moving and going. I would love to sit with that guy and find out the essence of his life and that drive that he had every single day. Because it never faltered. There's a story I wrote on one of the papers. There's a day, it's a Christmas day, and I was doing the show by myself, and he came into the studio as he usually did, and he's like, why are people not working? This is money being lost. But I looked at him and I was like, you guy, why are you being the Grinch? It's Christmas. Right? People are supposed to be at home and chilling, but to him, it's not about chilling. He has a drive. He wants to accomplish. He wants to do. Right? The goals are never done yet. I would love to sit with that guy. I respected him so much, God rest his soul, but he did so much for this country and the young guys that will never be seen. He used to sponsor people who are in MIT and Harvard, and no one would know. And it was just him. He wanted to just impart the knowledge and push the young generation to the next level. If you went to him and said, I've gotten a scholarship to this particular school and I don't have chums, he would work on that and help you because he wants you to see succeed. Very few people in our society do that. Very few, especially people who are in his position, who were in his position. With $1 billion, find me in South Coast Tiwi under a palm tree, living the life.
Yes.
That's very specific. That's very specific.
Yeah, it's you can see. You can see my retirement plan.
Good.
To end it-
Yeah.
Turn it to the books.
To the books. How big of a reader are you? And whatever the case might be, what book would you either recommend to people or gift them?
So there's a shame. Usually, there's a bit of a shame being passed around when people say they don't read books.
It's
I
okay.
don't.
It's
That's
okay.
all right.
I never created the culture of reading when I was young. I didn't read Nancy Drew and them. I was out busy kicking
Secret
balls
Seven.
and hitting each other on the head.
Yeah.
But slowly, because of my kids now, I'm trying to get into the culture because they're like, "Yo, Dad, I'm reading this book." I'm like, "Well, I'll read a book. I'll find a book."
Yeah.
Right.
I'll throw you one thing.
Yeah.
A movie.
Yeah.
But on the book,
Yeah.
I am reading currently. So I've started. I'm actively doing it. It's taking me a little while, but but I'm reading Trevor Noah's book.
That's a dope one. Yeah.
I just can't seem to put that book down.
Yeah.
So entertaining, and he's one of the people who has redefined what it is to be African. From a global perspective, and I love that because my outlook at the moment is looking at Africa and looking at the world and how I can represent myself, and of course my continent. So that book is really, really
Highly
cool.
Born a Crime.
Really, really cool. It's fantastic.
What
Yeah.
about a movie or an album that comes to mind? Yeah, listen to that.
Yo,
Watch that.
my guy, those are many. Those are so hey, those
Like
are so
that
many.
one
But
too, yeah.
one movie, yeah, and you'll forgive me because I'm old, but there's a Shakespeare book called Merchant of Venice, which was done into film and played by a guy called Jeremy Irons and Al Pacino. The performances on that show are so honest because there is a language, but Shakespeare is not English. Shakespeare is gibberish English. I did Shakespeare on stage. Half of the time I didn't understand what I was saying. But the way they depict that story, it's like it can be a foreign language, but you still understand and feel what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right? When the Shylock talks about the difference between a Jew and a Christian, and why is it that you're seeing us differently? Why is it that you're judging us? Do Jews not bleed when you prick them? Do Jews not laugh when you tickle them? And that definition of a human being, that movie, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's actually on YouTube. You can get it there, the whole thing. It's such an amazing movie.
It's a
Yeah.
dope
Fantastic.
recommendation, huh?
I did Merchant of Venice, but
Did
I think I was quite young. In thee, I know not
Thee
why.
thou here now though.
You played Salerio.
Yeah, Fulan, you one of those.
So, one of those.
Yeah.
I wasn't cute enough
Yeah.
to be Basani.
No, I
So I played Antonio.
oh, look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point I looked at James Falkland and I'm like, why are you giving me this pretty boy roles? Like, what is it that you're trying to say? I need substance, but yeah, they saw something different.
Clearly, we're putting on our Merchant of Venice role. I played Lorenzo.
Oh, you played Lorenzo.
I was licking my lips, Anyway, let's jump into a final question.
Also, you said album, eh?
Yeah, album. Why not? Yeah, music.
So I listen to many things. I listen to so many things because, like I said, I find solace in music. When you find me on a free day by myself, I listen to music because it defines me, and you'll know what kind of energy I have by the type of music that I'm listening to. I always go back to one album because it touches my soul. It was one of the first big Kenyan albums to me, anyway. And that was Harikimani. Harikimani's album. What was the name of the album again? I can't remember. But that particular album that had Haya, it had the Traveler, it had Bamboo, and those young guys when they're starting out. That album I always go back to. God bless Harikimani wherever he is, but Before there was Zenia Manasseh, before there was Bien, there was Harikimani. And till today, you listen to that album, it's relevant. It sounds like it was recorded the other day. Right now, I'm listening to Ben Soul's album. God damn, that boy is talented. Yo. Yeah, there.
Of course, you'd go for 20.
Favorite song.
Yes.
Yeah, but just that album is fantastic.
Yep.
That song
It is.
by what is it? Okelo Max. Him.
Ro. That's my favorite.
That's
jam.
my
Yo.
favorite.
I fantastic.
And Mordecai.
And Mordecai. Tiki taka.
Do you know my favorite bit?
Yeah.
Cordon.
Are you playing the jam when you're changing? Then you have to play that jam.
Yeah. That jam is the one. So yeah, I love all types of music, American artists, we grew up with them. But Kenyan music, man, like I say, things that are done in your own language and things that you can understand, they hit differently, totally differently.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Maze. Now to our final question, may I?
You may.
Easy, bro. Maqbul, Mohammed, you're on a stage.
Yes.
And on this stage are African race. And in your audience is every race and everyone is in there, but the bigger percentage is the African population, or many, many billions of us. But on this platform, only one person for this particular case is representing the voice of those on that stage. And dead or alive, all these guys are there, from all the ones who've been before us. DJ CK is there. Yeah, Wangari Maathai is there. On the other side is so and so and so and so. All these people we look up to. And Maqbul is seated there. On this day, it's only Nelson Mandela who's speaking. But you have your chance to, on your T-shirt, have a short message. Could be a quote. Could be a thing you totally believe your people in that moment need to see. What would that quote read?
That's a tough one.
It could be a thing that comes to mind quite often, or a thing you feel, a thing you think we as Africans or as humans now need to hear.
So I don't want to go I wanted to say black is great, but I think we've championed that a bit the past couple of years. But I would, because everything that I'm doing now is a reflection of what I want my children to have in the future. That's my source of inspiration right now. And I would want them to see Africa is great. This continent has so much potential. We could be pioneers of anything that we want to do. But the narrative that we keep on telling ourselves is what I think sometimes holds us back. We still have issues of, I can't fly from here to SA until I get certain documents. I can't go to the Congo because of war and A, B, C, D. I can't sell my stuff to Nigerians because of a reason or the other. This continent has so much potential if we just change that narrative. And I would want to sit with all these people and just tell them, Africa is great. And let's look internally. Let's not look outside for answers. We've copy-pasted the Americans a bit too much. We've copy-pasted the Arabs a bit too much. We've gone around the world. Let's look inside. This continent is great. This country is great. We make noise every single day. Oh, bottom up. Oh, this, do that. Electricity, da-da-da. But we don't remember to celebrate the good things about this place. And if we do that, then we'll go forward. It is a great place to be.
Hey.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maqbul Mohammed on the Busy Being Born podcast, where we spotlight African excellence.
Yeah. Thank you. What is this new age?
No.
Sorry, I've been seeing it happening. I'm just like, sorry? Oh, it's for being polite.
But also it happens a lot during poetry and
Poetry.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Me, I prefer claps.
All right. You get them, sir. As you rightly deserve. As you rightly deserve.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed this so much. More so because Martin told me, don't perform. And I have a knack of doing that. So thank you. Me, I've been myself on this one. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you for opening up to us and to these people here and to the hundreds, thousands, whatever that might listen to this now in 10 years, in 50 years.
2063.
And hopefully, 2060. Your kids as well and your kids' kids.
Totally.
Hopefully they will listen to this at some point and learn from it. That's the idea.
50th episode, first live episode.
Absolutely.
I feel so honored, you guys. I feel so honored. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
And I'm not 46.
Yet.
Yeah.
Asante sana.
Thank you, guys.
Asante sana. We celebrate all of who you are and who you are becoming. Stay busy being born.
Absolutely.
Asante.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been your hosts.
Kamande.
Kigondu, and you know where to find us.
BusyBeingBorn.Africa.
.Africa. We're also on the socials.
BusyBeingBorn_.
This is on Twitter and on Instagram. And are we on TikTok?
I think so. BusyBeingBorn_. Maybe.
Maybe.
You'll find us there dancing to quotes. Maybe that's what we can
could
do.
be, you know. Asanteni sana. Hey, stay busy being born. You know what we always say. If you're not busy being born, then
You're probably busy not living.
peace.
Ooh, lovely.
Peace.
Pamoja. Asanteni
so
sana.
much,
Thanks
guys.
for the
Thank
live.
you.
That was sticky notes, so you can write your questions. Episode 51 itakuwa give and take. Just give and take.
Just the
Then
two of
we'll
us
close
and
it
then
off
yeah.
with Checkmate Mido. Chickity check in the house. Yes, it's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You can now have your drinks and snacks and take people's numbers and stay busy being born.
Just if you have any questions, just reach out on social media. I'll answer them. But this African thing that I keep on saying, it's not only for. And if you want to know that people are trying to find their own identity in terms of being more authentic as Africans, these two gentlemen. What's your first name? What's your Christian name? What's your
Samuel.
Samuel and Martin, but they go as
Kamande and
and
Kigondu.
there are people out there who are doing the same thing. Now it's like I'm Modoni Wahoho. That's something to celebrate.
Yes,